very important tool to use, especially out on walks, as well as if we're working with a reactive dog. So with scatter feeding, we're going to use a classical conditioning method. So we're literally just teaching that find it means go get this handful of treats. Now, I'm going to throw a somewhat complicated version at you, but I'm also going to tell you that you can simplify it really, really easily. So I'm going to get Chunk over here. So for Chunk, we're going to say find it. Find it means turn around, get the treats there. So we're going to do this a couple times. Chunk does already know find it. Find it. Sorry, Chunk, that's fine. Party. So now I'm using party means find treats in front of you. Find it. Find it means find treats behind you. So I'm going to practice both ways. I'm going to wait till she reapproaches me. Find it. Party. Now I don't care what terminology you use. You can use find it, you can use party, you can use search. I don't care if you tell them ground, search, whatever, I don't care. You can do it the complicated way, or you can do it the easy way. You can just have one word. One word means party, find treats somewhere on the ground. Direct your attention to the ground, go find those treats. The reason that I use two different ones for Chunk specifically is because when we are out on a walk and she sees a certain dog down the way, she will lay down and get into kind of stalker mode. She'll put her head down and she's like, I'm not moving. The only way that I have been successful at getting her to move off the path is by telling her find it, and she turns around to go get those treats behind her. Now typically, I'm walking behind her, so find it tells her turn around and find your treats. So it directs her to where she's going to find those treats versus if I just say party and she knows they're somewhere in the general front of her. So if you have a dog that has a hard time turning away from a trigger, I would recommend teaching one word or one set of words means behind them versus one set of words means find treats in front of you. The reason that we use the scatter feed and why it is such a valuable tool, while it looks like we're just distracting a dog, we're actually doing a lot more than that. So when a dog is sniffing the ground for these treats, they're actually calming their own nervous system down. So anytime a dog is sniffing out on a walk, even if they're just sniffing the environment, they're actually calming themselves down internally. So this is really, really helpful for when we have two dogs walking towards each other, or even a dog approaching a human walking towards them, and we can kind of say, hey, let's come over here, let's focus on something else, but let's calm ourselves down. The other part of it is, especially with two dogs walking towards each other, those dogs are communicating as soon as they spot each other. So maybe the tails are going up, the ear position's going back, maybe someone's head drops in a stalkerish manner. Those dogs are sitting there communicating before we've even started trying to help them. So this can diffuse the situation and it can buy us some time. Now, generally what I'm looking at with the scatter feed, especially if I'm using it in a reactive situation, is that I just want my dog to be able to move off the path, go eat their treats over here while I let those other people pass. Now, something to be aware of is that as those other people pass, your dog at some point is likely going to lift their head up, potentially take interest in that party passing, potentially lunge at the trigger. So you do want to be aware of that, but you also want to just kind of keep throwing food and hoping that your dog will continue to eat and sniff the ground and look for those treats instead. So once your dog already has it classically conditioned, you would just accompany whatever word you have assigned with whatever position you've assigned. So you can just keep practicing party, So if I was out on a walk, find it. She's too quick for me. Try one more time for that. Find it. So she immediately whips her head around there to look for the treats behind her. So we want to do this a couple times a day. You know, it doesn't have to be a long time, 30 seconds. Take a handful of treats, use your word, throw the food on the ground, just so they know. I do have a lot of clients that feed their dogs kibble, that they'll just go out in the yard or in their living room or whatever, take a little handful of the kibble, find it, throw it on the ground. The dog searches for it. It's a good way to give them their meal without giving it to them in a bowl.